Hello, hello. We are live. Welcome to K.I.S.S Recovery 101. This is Bridge. Hi, guys. Hope you're out there listening. If you are, will you please interact? I encourage anyone listening right now, just say hi. I changed the settings a little bit, hoping to make our mics more efficient. Thank you, Tim, for that suggestion. But I don't know if it works, because I can't hear what you're hearing. I just hear myself talking in a room here with my guest. Hi, do you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, my name's Jesse M.
Hi, Jesse. You might want to speak up, because I sound really loud here to myself, so...
Okay, I'll work on
Let's
that.
bring the mic closer to you. Okay, I'll make sure everybody hears you. Welcome, Jesse. Okay, so... Oh, someone said hi. Okay, we're a go. Everybody can hear us.
Nice.
Okay, I'm excited for this show tonight. I specifically asked Jesse to come on with me because our topic tonight, our pathway that we're going to talk about is harm reduction. Ooh, that kind of rubs some people certain ways. And I took a great training and it really opened my mind. And so for a long time, there was a lot of things I had heard in the rooms that I was in that said, no, there's only this one way, has to be this way. So when I took this training, I felt those things, but it was nice to have many people say, actually, you're kind of right. Like, there's this nice thing called compassion that you can have, and there's science-based facts that show this path of for harm reduction is wonderful. But Jesse's very well informed. I needed someone smart here on the show with me today so that I could do it justice. So Jesse, let's see, what do you want to talk about? Why don't you just give a little spiel about you and where you're at today and anything you want to start the show with?
Well, I am in recovery, as you well know. I just celebrated a couple of years about 3 weeks ago. So
You did.
right, and it feels good. And my mom asked me a question on my birthday, and we were kind of doing mock interviews, and she's like, "Where do you see yourself in the next 5 years?" And I told her, I was like, to be honest with you, Mom, I have no idea where I'm going to be in 5 years, because if you would have told me where I was going to be 2 years ago, where I'm at today, I would have never guessed that I'd be this far. So right now, I just, I'm got to a point in my recovery where I was just opened to try anything or any suggestion, just because I was so sick and tired of that cycle of madness, that dark, endless, pitless doom that I just surrounded myself with, that I just went all in, and here I am today. And
Here you are.
yeah,
Yeah, I can relate to that. There's all those things I would hear for a long time that never really sunk in, and now as you speak or I'm in the room, I find myself repeating them. But yeah, I was sick and tired of being sick and tired.
that's a fact.
So people can guide you, but it's got to be myself that makes those decisions for them to really stick in. So yeah. I have a great clip that I'm going to play in a little bit. I have alarm set, Jesse. For you and any new listeners, I'll just prep you for what to expect. So this show's about an hour. I try to keep mindful of that. I have alarm set. It keeps me focused. I tend to ramble, especially if I get excited or nervous or whatever reason. I try to stay on topic. So the first segment is called the hot seat. Ooh. I get to ask you some hot and heavy questions, and they're more meant, for you, of course, to answer and share more about yourself, but also for anyone listening that might be asking themselves those questions. And then the last segment, I like to wrap it up with have some laughs, share some joy, things that I find funny or I found meaningful, and it's nice to share them with someone else and get your thoughts on them, because some of the things that I find hilarious, I just had Justin on, Justin.
Mm-hmm.
I just had him on, and he was like, a couple of times, he's like, I don't get it. Why is this funny? So it was even funnier for me to explain why I thought it was funny. I'm like, see, I was right. It is funny. It's hilarious. Okay, so bear with me. At any point, though, feel free to cut me off or interrupt me. Just let me know that we need to bring it back. But yeah, let's talk about harm reduction. Do you want to give... So how I was even introduced to it was I took that 1 week training, with Minnesota Recovery Connection. This was before I worked there. But I took this training. Oh my gosh, there's a lot that's put in that 46 hours, well, 50 hours total. And you came in the one day that we started talking about harm reduction. I didn't even know what that term was. The more we talked about it, I'm like, oh yeah, I definitely took that path for a while, for different reasons. But I had to hide it. I had to hide it because even within my own, smaller community in recovery, there's a set way that group likes to do things. And I was told that it's not okay to take my meds. I was told it's not okay to, you need to be abstinent from everything. And especially, almost 2 years ago, knew I was struggling with so many things. Mental wellness was a big thing, but even physically I was struggling. And if I didn't take what I needed to take to even get to the capacity to be able to start to have a clear process or, mind process or physically feel well, like, oh, the frick am I going to be able to stay, not using? Let's just say that. So anyways, when I took this training and you came in and talked about it, I was like, yeah, see, that's what he's talking about. So you're here today. So I want you to spiel a little bit about what you share in those trainings to maybe start planting a little seed, maybe open some minds, blow some minds. Jesse, you ready?
Yeah, I'm definitely ready.
Okay, so let's talk about harm reduction. One of the things of the clip I'm going to play is I love that she said, specifically, it was crazy. It was like there's 130 deaths every day from overdoses. And a big part of why that happens is people are dying alone. They're overdosing alone. Why is that? She pointed out because of shame. Because they feel so shameful and scared of what people think. They'll use alone and they'll die alone. I mean, even saying that makes my heart really heavy. I've lost friends in these rooms and in this world because they felt too ashamed, and that makes me angry. And so I want to talk about, let's just talk about your viewpoint on harm reduction. Jesse, where do you stand on that?
Well, I think you hit a pretty key point about people that are dying, and a dead person can't find recovery. Mm-hmm. So, and that isolation, that stigma, that kind of defined, a big part of my life also. And I'm all for life and all for giving somebody the chance to get to that point of being able to find what I found today and celebrate recovery. Mm-hmm. So anything that I can do, like whether it be clean needles or mental health meds, there's all sorts of harm reduction out there. Mm-hmm. And, I even tried medically assisted therapy, and mm-hmm. it didn't work so much for me, but the numbers don't lie. Mm-hmm. I mean, there's hard facts out there that show people that can maintain some semblance of a normal life on some of those buprenorphine and methadone, mm-hmm. Where when they were doing other drugs, they were not engaged in society at all. Mm-hmm. And I think, I was just talking about bringing my mind and my chemical balance back. It took me like 2 years to feel like normal. Mm-hmm. And I was on some medication, and I'm kind of down stepping on that just because I feel good. I feel like I have tools now to use mm-hmm. to help center myself, to take away my anxiety, certain things. But without that step down to this point, I would have never made it there. Right. That first year mm-hmm. was hard just because, I didn't even feel normal. I didn't have the right chemicals in my head. Mm-hmm. I would have never got to where I'm at today without those things. And, that's another aspect of it. And, I look at things like medical marijuana. Mm-hmm. People, if you were smoking meth every day and now you smoke weed every day and you have a medical card and you're doing all your stuff, I'm all for it, and we can just live by example, and maybe one day they'll get to a point where they don't want to do anything. Mm-hmm. Like right now, I feel so good, I don't want to mess with any of that stuff. So it's like, yeah, sure, I think about smoking weed some days, but like, am I going to smoke weed and go to the gym? Mm. Probably not. Mm-hmm. And I feel good all the time now. Mm-hmm. So why would I take something to try to feel better? Right. But 2 years ago, it wasn't like that. I feel like that would have been another stepping stone to like getting off shooting meth every day for years, just to kind of get out of my head. If that's what I needed to do to get to where I'm at today, then support me, and I'm willing to support you, just because I want to see you not die.
Right. Yes, that's such a key piece, and that's the thing that I saw and that I struggled with myself, is because I knew people had such strong viewpoints on that and so many judgments and opinions. I'd hide it. I'd have to hide getting better. I mean, it's so conflicting, and I talk about it now. But yes, like you, Jesse, I mean, I don't think I really started to have a clear, even be able to think clearly. It took a solid year. And like, especially when I first started to really want this, like I was physically sick. Like I've been using and reusing for 17 years. I put my body and my mind through hell and just quit, just go turkey. I mean, like, yeah, anxiety. I was on meds for other things too, but like, I mean, a lot of things now, I mean, after a year, those things started to like reduce over time anyway. It's like you get a couple of people that abuse things, and then they want to label everybody like that, and that's silly. Another thing, like harm reduction, there's so many things to that. I posted my certificate that I got from my harm reduction training, and I literally had 3 people message me and say, "So, you believe in that?" And I go, "Huh? Yes. And if you want to continue having a conversation, we ain't gonna do it over text. You're gonna meet me for coffee. Let's talk about it."
Right.
But it was interesting how right away I had people say, like want to take a stance on something, and I'm like, that looked at, for me, it was like, I say, maybe I came out negative the way my tone was just there, but for me, I was like, let's go have coffee. Let's have a conversation about it. But yeah, this is where I stand now. You want to talk about it, we'll talk about it. I ain't going to send paragraph. We ain't going to have paragraph text conversations about this. If you have your viewpoint, we're going to talk about it in person. We're going to get, agree or disagree or agree to disagree, but I'm always open-minded. So anyway, none of those people took me on those invitations. I'm still here, and I'm still talking about it, so. Okay. But yeah, I definitely want to get into the clip, because it was powerful. I'm not going to play the whole clip, but the clip, I'll give you the information. So it's a TED Talk, and if you go search it, I definitely think that it would be very beneficial, because of course she's, her name's Lindsay. Oh, I wrote it down. I've got my little notepad. Oh, I know I wrote it down somewhere. Sorry for the pause here. Okay, the TED Talk is called Harm Reduction as an Act of Compassion, and it's by Lindsay Hartman. Do you have anything you want to say before I play this clip?
No.
I feel like we'll have a lot more to say after I play this clip. And then we got some interactions. We're going to open up the floor, talk to our listeners. See if you guys have any questions, comments, please interact. We want you to be involved. It's all about together and community-ness. Okay, so mind the speaker. It's a little verbal. It's a little not high-tech here in this room here, Jesse. I invited Jesse to my podcast. I don't know what he was visualizing, but I went on a podcast that was way fancier than this. It's probably like Ridge in a fucking closet, dude. It was almost scary, dark alley place.
Bluetooth connected.
Creepy. Okay, but I do have it set up right to the clip that I want to play. Okay, I just remember I have to unlock the phone. But yeah, we will continue our conversation after this clip. Okay, so here we go. Lindsay Hartman, Harm Reduction as an Act of Compassion.
The recovery community loves to talk about enabling and how you should never enable someone with a substance abuse disorder. Harm reduction is far from enabling in that traditional sense. Harm reduction enables people to have honest conversations. It enables them to have linkage to care. It enables them to stay disease-free. It enables them to live. Recovery is not linear, and we don't get to pick and choose when we decide to support someone. We don't get to decide at what point their life matters. I have participants that have reversed multiple overdoses. I have participants that have saved their friends' lives, saved their partners' lives, saved strangers' lives. Just recently, one of my participants told me he was getting off the train in the city and saw someone overdosing. He had Narcan from me that he gave to this young man, did CPR on him for 6 minutes before the kid came to. In a crowded train station, the one person who stopped to save a life was a drug user. Tell me that doesn't blow your stereotype. In April of 2015, I was getting ready to leave work, and my boyfriend at the time called me. He was in the hospital because he had overdosed. I felt the air completely leave my lungs and the ground fall out from underneath me. I didn't even know that he was using again. So through sobs, I made my way to the hospital. When I got there, I found him in a bed in the hallway, not even in a room. I crawled into bed with him and I scolded him for almost leaving this world without me knowing. I will never forget the way that he smelled. He smelled awful. Then 2 officers came in. I asked what was going on, and they told me it was policy for them to run someone's name if they came in for an overdose. Brian had an open warrant in DuPage County. He reported to parole in Kane, where we lived. The warrant was for a missed court date because he was incarcerated in another county, but nonetheless, they wanted to arrest him. They cuffed him, took him out of the hospital while I followed behind crying, begging, please just let me take him home. He almost just died. They never even looked at me. So now, I make it my life mission to be there for people and be an ally. Because after that overdose, Brian told me that even scarier than almost dying was the idea that he would have to tell me. He had waited 4 hours to call me. His shame was stronger than death. So now...
Okay, we'll cut it right there. Because there's too much good stuff, so she keeps talking. I won't remember anything I've tried to say. But wow, what do you think of that?
It's so true, and it's so sad. And really, I feel like the officers there, that's like the defining thing of society nowadays, like lack of compassion. And it's just like there's so much procedure and like unemotion, or that's not the right word, but you know what I'm trying to say. Yep. Where it's like people just need to start. People need to start like having like feelings or like like this dude just died. Like, you know, I don't know, have something. Have a heart.
Yeah. Well, just the fact that she said that when she came to the hospital, his bed, he wasn't even in a bed in a room. He was out in the hallway. Like, that's a stigma right there. Like, I know for me going to the hospital, I was treated like shit because they knew I was using. They knew I was, you know, whatever you want to label, a drug addict, alcoholic, whatever time I was in those hospitals. But I was immediately treated differently than someone else coming in with something else they're being treated for, like diabetes or asthma, you know. But sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, Jesse.
It's all right. I also like how she touched on the guilt and shame that was internal, because it's so true. And really, when somebody calls me nowadays and asks for help, like that is such a big part, or the hardest part of the process. So like why would we beat somebody up or like push them down when they're already at that low point? Anybody that's had a reoccurrence knows exactly like what it feels like to like lit all these people. Like it's not all these people, you lit yourself down. Like you messed up, but I mean, I've been there so many times where I got back in that cycle, and where it ends up going, prison, death, or institutions, that's literally where my addiction goes. And so when I pick up that first, I just can't stop, and I know that's where it's going. Like, I don't need somebody telling me how bad of a person I am. I already know, or like identify with that. Like, defining moments of my life are addictive behaviors. And now after 2 years, I'm just starting to get this mindset of like, I don't identify that through service work and all that stuff. Like, and still though, if I picked up, I'd be right back to where I was. So I don't need to feel bad or worse or guilt. And like my dad told me, because my whole family's got issues, and he's like, you got to figure it out. When are your siblings going to get figured out? I'm like, Dad, I'm just one bad decision from being right back where they are.
Oh, there's our first alarm. Keep going.
So, and that's true reality. Some days it's minutes, seconds, and I mean, it's the struggle is real. So we just got to remember people that are in recovery, like the work they're putting into something, and why not support them with some of this stuff? Like you said, they got insulin for people that have, that are diabetic.
Right.
That's harm reduction. That's keeping people alive. You hit a few things, but it's all.
I have my inhaler.
Yes.
I have my, whatever. I don't need it anymore, but I used to have like a pill to take every day to help with my asthma to make sure that would stay on point. Like I was able to get off of that now, and I do other things and to help, so I don't go there. But yeah, but there's no stigma on asthma or diabetes, so I don't have to hide my use. I'm trying to get better.
Right.
So that's what I just try to point out. Okay, wait, we've got some interaction, so let me read some of these, Jesse, and you speak up on anything that they say that I read off, okay? So it says, hi, you guys sound good. Oh, awesome. Oh, pause, PAWS. Depending on what we are addicted to can last 7 years with abstinence. The same user says, post-acute withdrawal symptoms. That's pause. And yeah, the lack in compassion. Wow. So are you familiar with pause?
No.
Okay.
Nope.
I did remember hearing about it in one of the treatments I was at. I was at several. But I know we spoke about it in our training. Like that training, I still have my binder that I referenced, but there was so much in that. But yes, the big thing that she pointed out that I had to rewrite down because it hit me hard. And of course, in this moment, everything's going through my mind. But she said, that her boyfriend at the time said his shame was stronger than the fear of death. Like, that's awful, and that's so true. Like, he wouldn't reach out because he felt so ashamed that he'd rather die. That's real,
and
right
that's
there.
deep.
And that's the reality, and that's what I love about MRC, is that we're all in recovery. We're here as support. I'll just speak of myself, Jesse. I can't speak on you, but I know for me, no judgments. I'd rather you tell me that you are using. I want you to, we don't judge if you're using or not. We're not here to tell you to stop using whatever it is that you're using. But we're here to make sure it's safe. As much as possible. So I've been taking Hope Network. Are you familiar with them?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I've been taking their trainings online just so that I can get a Narcan, and I've been learning how to administer that. And there's the needle, whatever. That one looks a little scary. Actually, there's a training that's coming up in person at Northtown Library next Sunday. I think it is. I'm gonna post about it, but I'm going to it because I watch the videos, but I'm like, I'd rather be in person with a person because I don't want to muck up trying to. But if someone's overdosing, it's a way that you can help them. That's a form of harm reduction. Carrying those, I actually have one in my car that if I ever have to use it, I will use it. I watch the videos, but I'm going to the in-person training so I can hopefully practice. But also fentanyl strips, right? Because what is it today? It's like they're 100 times more stronger than what was out there before anyway. But like heroin, they put just that little bit of fentanyl in there, and it's that's what a lot of people have been dying from. And
it's in everything.
It's in everything.
It's in meth. It's in coke. Mm-hmm. It's in weed. I even read. I don't know if that's true, but a friend of mine, he only did meth and he OD'd from fentanyl.
Right.
And you just never know nowadays. Like drugs are getting very blurred, and they're just, I think, trying to make it more addictive, or what a great balance, up or downer, so you do more, and I don't know, so I don't even really know, and I'm so grateful just to not even have to worry about that. But the people that are, how scary is that? You take some pill and all of a sudden you're dead, and you're like, what? I took that 100 times, so
right.
And it's just, that's a great point. And I wanted to touch on something too. So I've gone around to these homeless camps and given out Narcan, needles, bag lunches. Yeah. And at first, because I was a little bit leery, because that was how I did my drug was with needles. But it gave me a different feeling than that bad negative stigma. Right. So it's and you're out there who wouldn't want to not spread disease,
right?
Or save a life. Mm-hmm. And I mean, being in the trenches, that's the only way I can make any of my like 2 decades of active use makes sense is to go right back in those trenches where I was at and help the people that need help. Like the worse they are, the more help they need. The closer I want to be to them. So.
Right, absolutely. Well, and it's mind blowing. So, okay, I think another reason that I brought you on the show, Jesse, is because I know I won't cry in front of you. I wouldn't have one of my sisters in here because then I feel more okay to cry, but I'm not going to cry in front of you. So personally, in the training, they played this video. I'm not sure if it was like Vermont. I can't remember what state it's in. It took a lot of work to get approved, but there's this like, it's like 3 levels, 3 stories. Okay, and it's like basically a whole harm reduction building. And so like the first floor is so that people can come off the streets and use in a safe place and get safe needles. And I mean, it was mind-blowing, this video, because this woman, you know, it was at first, the first time I saw the video, it was hard to see this woman actually looks like my birth mom. Okay, and to watch her there using it was at first personally hard to see, because at first I'm like, I don't want to see this. Like, this is what are they doing here? And then I finished watching the video. But, like, it was great for this woman to say, I've overdosed in here 3 times. But luckily, someone was right here, and they saved my life. So I'm like, oh, my mom. Why don't they have one of those here in Minnesota? Actually, I think she's down in Iowa now. My mom, birth mom. But then what's great about it is the guy that talked about when you worked there, he said, you know, they know we're here. They know we're not judging them. You know, and what happens is there's the second floor where it's like a treatment area. So if they ever, you know, they could go on that first floor, they could, you know, leave or whatever, but they know there's that second floor, right? Where they can, if they want to do something more than just keep using whatever capacity that they're at, they go to that second floor and they can start with treatment. And it's cool because they have so much respect for them there. They get their own rooms, they get clean sheets, like they get treated in respect. And then I forget, I think like the third floor is like the more next level of like sober living. It's amazing! I'm just like, why don't they have those anywhere closer? Right. And for me, you know, my birth mom, whatever, I just got in connection with my blood family. I don't know much about that, but I reached out to like my uncle, or it's weird to say he's my uncle because I never met him. Blood uncle, found on Facebook, whatever, and I asked him, and, you know, have you heard from her? And they said, no, we still haven't heard anything from her. So my fear, of course, is the worst, which would be heartbreaking. But maybe I'm thinking, you know, if she found it would bring so much peace to my heart to know that she found a place like this, that it only exists in those places, where at least if she's using around people that give a shit and won't let her just suffer and die alone. I mean, hopefully she's still alive. I don't know. But anyway, we'll just change the subject. But on a more flip side, I was in a relationship with someone, and we took a break, and he decided to go back out. And, you know, I wasn't talking to him or whatever. I got a call from his family. I didn't know the extent of it, but he went back to using what he was using, but I didn't know at the time, but they found out there was fentanyl in it. I got a call from his sister saying, hey, I just wanted to let you know, I didn't even know where a Narcan was at that time. This was a year ago, around Thanksgiving, and they said that they had used the Narcan on him 3 times just to get him in the ambulance, just to get him breathing again. So this is me not knowing anything about harm reduction or Narcans or fentanyls, any of that. And so for 3 days, you know, they were basically saying, we don't think he's going to make it. They couldn't get him. Every time they'd bring him off of, you know, I think they had to put him in like a coma. You know, he'd seizuring so bad. He wasn't breathing on his own. And it was, well, it's creepy to think about. It's weird to think about, but it was Thanksgiving. They finally got the word that he was going to at least live. But I had no idea what these things were. And I just felt so upset because, you know, it would have been nice to, now I carry a Narcan with me everywhere. I want to really know how to make sure I know how to use it. But, like, his people in his house didn't know anything either. So they waited till whatever amount of time to even call emergency. You know, because just being aware of the signs of overdosing is huge. Because the nice thing she says in this video is, like, even if you suspect it, you know, even if you try whatever things, it's not going to hurt them either way if you use it on them and they're not actually overdosing, you know. But it's just the awareness piece, you know, so you're not helpless. And ironically, another friend of mine who we both had relationships with the same struggles, we both separated from our partners. Mine overdosed but survived, and hers sadly actually found out overdosed and didn't survive. Heartbreaking. You know, I watched her so crushed, even though they weren't together. You know, he died alone. And that's just like, that's so sad to me, because even though I'm not, you know, I don't associate with my ex anymore, even the thought of like what I saw my friend go through, just to know that that person that you loved and cared for died alone because they felt so ashamed, you know. And so anyway, Jesse, I told you to interrupt me. I started going into rambling into La La Land. Let's pick it up a little bit. Let's take a look at what the listeners are saying, and then we're going to get into the hot seat. Are you ready for that?
Dun, dun, dun.
Dun, dun, dun.
Yeah.
It won't be too bad.
No,
I always get you like scared, kind of, and then most of the time they're like, oh, that was a hot seat. That's no big deal, Brid. Oh, get over it. Okay, so it says, Facebook user, thank you for educating me about what reduction really is. I always looked at it like soft enabling. Another person said, harm reduction, I feel, is the only way to heal all. Yeah. I was only doing meth, to my knowledge, in 2004 and went to jail and tested positively positive for both meth and opiates way back then. And it says mixing something more addictive into another substance is far from new. The substances are more deadly. Absolutely. I mean, it's such a high rate right now. And that's what's so scary about it, is especially in the rooms that I, you know, go to, some of the meetings I go to, you know, there's just these people that have all these decades of time, you know. I'm sorry, but today the drugs are not like they were back then, okay? This world is not like it was back then, you know. I mean,
power on.
Oh, see, that's scary. That's scary. The speaker scares me. It's so verbal. Okay, power off. But anyway, it's a nice reminder that I need to stay focused. Okay, let's get to the questions, okay?
Works for me.
All right. I'm getting hot in this sweatshirt in this room. There's a heavy subject here. Okay. So, on my little notepad. You ready, Jesse?
Yep.
Question number 1. When you first chose recovery, what were your biggest struggles or challenges? When you first decided that you were going to do this thing, get recovery, what were your first biggest struggles?
So yes, I have honestly been seeking recovery since I got out of prison in 2013. Okay. It has been a struggle, and the first hurdle I had to get through was my anxiety. Mm-hmm. And so until I started working on my mental health and like addressing it, doing therapy, like I had no chance ever. Mm-hmm. Because I had these worries just build up, and it's like I had to do something to shut it off. And I think when I went through puberty, I started smoking weed just to release that emotion. Sure. And you know, it's really messed up is we're talking about stigma, right? Mm-hmm. So I talked about me being on anxiety meds at my grandma's house, and it turns out like everyone in my family's on anxiety meds. I'm like, what the hell? You guys should be talking about this at the Christmas table.
Yeah, why didn't nobody talk about it?
Right.
Why didn't they mention it?
It might have saved me a couple decades of whatever, you know, shenanigans I like to refer to. Mm-hmm. So that was a big part. Another thing too is like I had to do it for myself. Mm-hmm. You know, I don't know. I just didn't value myself, so it didn't give me reason to do it for myself. But I realized that until I do it for myself, I'm never going to gain that value, and that was hard too. Yeah. Another thing is doing it alone. I can't do it alone. Like I was, you know, clean.
You can say whatever you want on this show.
I'm like, yeah. I was clean for like, you know, a year and some change, but I was in the basement by myself, isolating, and that's not okay or healthy, or you know, it's just a matter of time before I'm gonna have a bad day, and like, you know, I don't have anybody to reach out to, so I'm gonna go to the bar, and then I'm gonna be at the dope man's house, and that's just a fact. And those are the 3 big parts. Doing step work, service work, all this stuff that they talk about just helps. And like I got to a point in my recovery where I was willing to try whatever, anything, at least a little bit. So like I did acupuncture for the first time about a month ago, and like it was so awesome.
Was it?
Yeah, and like my knees don't hurt anymore. So it's like it actually did something. The gym is a big part of my mental health because it burns off some of that excess energy that I have. And you know what I talk to with my participants is that I had this idea where if I get this puzzle together, it's going to stay together. But I have to focus on that puzzle daily, keeping it together. And what I like to, and I talk about it a lot, is finding that balance, like the dimensions of wellness.
Yeah.
And being aware of like, okay, well, I feel like I'm lacking on this part of my life. And you know, I'm never going to obtain perfect balance, but just being aware of my body and how I feel and how my emotions are. And his emotions, what are those? Like I didn't deal with those for 20 years. But so yeah, those were big parts in just finding that balance today.
Absolutely. And yeah, I struggled with that too. Like for me, just being by myself and doing everything myself was where I was at forever, for years. So, you know, finally realizing I can't do it alone. The opposite to addiction is connection, and that's huge. And for me, just finding one person that I could trust and start building and growing and not doing it alone started to open that door just a little bit to this wonderful world of recovery. Okay, great. Thanks for that answer, Jesse. I want to say more with your answers, but we got to be mindful of time. So we'll keep going. Okay. Question number 2. You ready?
Yep.
Okay. Today, what are or could be triggers for you? Present moment. Is there anything, any place, anything that could trigger you?
So the last trigger I do recall, like that was actually strong, was I graduated drug court about 4 months ago. And the first thing I thought about, what do you think it was?
Yeah.
Getting high. I was like, I should go get high. And it's just like,
the good things, like celebration.
Right. Well, that's how I did. So
Right,
I've always reinforced, like when I was in recovery before, it wasn't a matter of if I was going to use, it was a matter of when. And so in my head, especially, I've trained the brain to like be like, okay, well, I'm free, I can do whatever.
Yeah.
And so I called my sponsor, which, you know, I could do that now.
Yeah.
And he's like, you wouldn't be an addict if you didn't think like that.
Right.
And I'm just like, you're right. So it made me feel normal, which it is normal. I think, especially for men, like navigating emotions, or maybe it's not just men. It's probably both, because I didn't deal with emotions for 20 years.
Right.
Like I never broke up with a girl in my entire life sober.
Interesting.
So of course, like it happened. And I was like, this feels weird. Like, so I feel just like talking about emotions, and like I remember at my men's meeting, I was like, I told him, this is before I got off probation, I was like, I'm scared because this is about the time I trick everything off. And I was like, wait a second, did I just talk about being scared in front of a room full of men? I'm like, this is not okay. This is not okay. But like a couple guys came up to me and they're like, hey, thank you, I can relate to that, or like, you did a good job, like just talking about that stuff. And so I was like, okay, I don't feel like so stupid, but there's something I like to talk about with people or men that I work with. It's like the man rules. You can't show emotion, deal with emotion with anger, stuff like that. It's just, and I was just like, dang, this is what I do. And then I was like, this is what my dad does too. So I sent it to him, and he's like, this isn't me. I'm like, he's like, I'm the only sane person I know. I'm like, I know for a fact that is not true, Dad. But hey, do you? I'll do me.
Do you, Dad? Oh, that's what I was. Okay, so yeah, that's such a good point. And like I was sharing with Matt when he was on here, you know, he didn't realize it, but him being vulnerable, you know, not like to like an extreme, but just being vulnerable about some deep shit in the rooms made me feel in that room that I'm gonna go ahead and let my vulnerability out too. Because no, as a female, or I don't think it matters male or female. For me, I don't like showing emotions. I too, like in my home that I grew up in, emotions were bad. I would get beat if I showed emotions. Like there's nothing, you don't show weakness, you don't cry, you little crybaby. I get my ass beat. So by the time I got out on my own, you know, for me, it was like, to stay safe, I didn't show real emotions, you know. And there's 2 core emotions I learned, and those are love and fear. And so if you're not feeling good or right with something, you're feeling something other kind of way, it was hard to believe, and I still have to process to get to that level of fear. What am I afraid of? Where's that fear coming from? Oh, math is already alarm too. Okay. Well, let me just wrap it up. So yeah, for me, anger comes right at the forefront. Anytime, especially flight or flight mode, I'm angry about it. But now I don't react no more, Jesse. I've been learning things. I respond. And a lot of times I will take a moment and say, like, legitly, I've been in conversations where I'm like, I need to pause. Like, I need to process. No. The person I'd be in a conversation is like, no, let's fix this. I want to fix this now. I'm like, I can't fix this right now. You see me get hit? You see me get my levels going up right now? Like, I need to process. There's not going to be a resolution here. I'm upset. You see, I'm getting really upset right here. I'm heated. I'm fired up right now. I need to process. And I would literally walk away and just take some time to cool down. Because in my body, in my brain, in my whole makeup, like, that's all I knew was to defend myself and survive. So those things still come up at me with the least expected. Triggers are all over the place. I love how you said, a thing could trigger me, like, I want to celebrate. It wasn't always about, like, I'm sad about this, or I'm angry about this, or I can't deal with this. Yeah, I remember walking through this beautiful, and they had the outside lounge area, and there was, like, a fire, and people were, like, drinking, like, whatever kind of specialty beer, and they looked so peaceful. Like, those Norries sitting over there enjoying their thing. I was like, it is, like, a trigger. I'm like, oh, see, now I can't stay at this place, because I want that sometimes, and, so I hang out with sober folks.
Yeah, here's what me and my therapist came up with. Now when you hit a milestone or, like, something good happens, reinforce that with, like, a good memory. So, like, go out to dinner with your family, or we went camping for my birthday, and that was like a graduated drug court, and I was out there with my niece and nephew, and we had fun. And so it's like, instead of reinforcing it with drugs, alcohol, whatever,
exactly,
I reinforce it. Yeah, so, and I'm going to start doing that now. Why not?
Yeah. Well, and I love that a lot of people have, like, the fires now in my recovery community, and we just go, because that was a big trigger for me, camping.
Yes.
A little bit of camping with my youth. That was my jam.
Yeah.
It wasn't always bad. There was whatever times, and so. But now, like, I will do the camping thing, and I will do the bonfire things, but only in my recovery family. Like, I just don't waste my time putting myself in situations like that. And I don't even like hanging out with normies anymore. There's, like, no depth to those conversations for me anyway. Okay, last question. And then we'll get back. We'll go back to the interactions, and then we'll start wrapping things up. So number 3, Jesse, you ready?
Yep.
Okay, today, if someone wrongs you or hurts you, how do you respond? So if someone wrongs you, like, and I'm not just talking about, like, insulted you or whatever. Say, and you don't have to give specific examples or details, but say someone wronged you, how would you react or how would you respond?
So that is something I do struggle with, because, like you were just talking about, like, gut reaction. So it's like, for instance, at the building I just moved out of, every time I'd come home with groceries, the cart wasn't there. So, like, after it happened like 3 times, I wanted just to pound on everybody's door and find the effing cart and be like, where's the cart? Why isn't it down there? But then I realized that, like, I'm letting them steal my joy.
Yeah.
And I can solve this other ways. So I would grab my laundry basket, put it in there, right? So it's just like, I try not to ever react in anger. And so one thing that I found with my father specifically, because he's just so hard-headed and not easy to talk to, I write him letters.
Oh, wow.
And sometimes I get responses, sometimes I don't. So it really depends on the person I'm dealing with, the level of the relationship they are with me. I feel like you're saying, most people that I am around, I have some sort of relationship where I can, like, I could talk about it, but, like, maybe I'll have to apologize for some snarky comment or something. We all have ups and downs.
We're human.
But the main thing is just, like, having those boundaries, being able to step back, look at how you reacted, and like go back to it, and like adjusting, because character defects, they are ingrained in me.
Yes.
And to think I have control over those things that have been ingrained since I was 3 months old, never. So I just got to give it to my higher power, be aware of them, and have enough open-mindedness and willingness to change, to go
Yes.
back and revisit something I've done.
Yes. Oh my gosh. And then you just opened up a little can of worms for me. So I was just talking about this earlier at a workshop that I was at. And it's like, it's so key to be that awareness, right? But I don't even call them character defects. I call them character defenses. So I read this other book that was like, because for me, I don't like the idea of being undefective, like, for me, the more like I talked about it in the rooms and read about it and looked at different paths and different ways, like it's a character defense that's been embedded in me since I was a child, from my childhood. It was survival mode, So you are right. Like, for me, it's a process. So like, why do I want to react this way? What's going on? What's those patterns and cycles that my body, I've been taking trauma trainings and classes, and they were now saying trauma is not like just a brain thing. They're actually more promoting trauma as talking about it's like a nervous system. So I didn't understand it until I took some of these trainings, what that meant. So like trauma, your brain won't remember, but your body remembers trauma. That was huge for me. Like, I was in therapy and I would have these episodes of reactions, and I'm like, I don't understand, like, my therapist, Katie, like, why does this react? Why do I react this way? I don't, nothing I remember like should make me react this way. And when I understood that my body remembers things that my brain doesn't, so my body goes into those protective modes or safe modes, even though I'm like, my body's like, what are you doing? Stop reacting this way. But it's a nervous system thing, trauma, especially deep-rooted trauma. And what's interesting that I found with my birth family, so it was funny because you said something earlier and I'm just remembering it now. So it's been a couple years that I've found birth relatives, blood relatives. It was so great though to find them on Facebook, and guess what? Turns out, so I've been diagnosed recently with ADHD. Guess what? A lot of those blood family members have ADHD. That was so great. I was like, okay, so maybe I do believe some of these people are actually my blood family because it's all over the place. Yay! It's not just, I was adopted, so like, I had no connections in that adopted family except with my blood brother, but like, I was definitely the, whatever you want to call it, ugly duckling, black sheep, the loader, the weirdo in the family, I don't know. So to see that my blood family, they're all over, yay! It came from somewhere, but trauma can be, it actually shows facts will show it does pass through in the generations, which is amazing. I'm also native, the indigenous people, and I've always felt like I was born with this sadness sometimes. I don't know how to explain it, but I found out my birth mom and her brother also were adopted. So I've done a lot of research on just the indigenous people in general, and there's boarding schools and assimilation and the whole adoption thing is so effed up. It makes me angry because I didn't get to know my blood family, and to find out that not only did my birth mom and her brother not go into a good home either, and also were using and out and running away at young ages too. I'm like, see?
Right.
It was crazy how those things lined up, but it took all this time. I'm 40 years old, Dizzy. I don't like to throw that all over the place. 40 and fabulous! But it took all that time to really start putting those pieces of that puzzle together. Okay.
They refer to the dirty 30s.
Dirty 30s?
Well, I'm the fantastic 40s.
Oh, okay.
I just turned 42, so.
Oh, I didn't know that. Shoot. Yeah, see, I'm happy, but I'd actually celebrated it with another one of my besties, so I didn't feel it. Yeah. Otherwise, I wouldn't have celebrated it, I gotta tell you. But it was fun.
My mom said her 40s was her favorite
Yeah, that's
years.
what I've heard.
So.
And I do. I feel like I'm the best version of myself that I've ever felt. A lot of that is because I'm sober today.
Right.
So definitely, I'll give that some credit. Okay, so let's see. It says mental health care is key. Yes. And now they're saying, too, I'm about to take this training in January, 2-week training, mental wellness.
Me too.
Trying to break this. Okay, God bless you, Disney. We're just learning these things. We work together.
Right.
So this is cool. We don't get, it's so busy at work for me anyway, that I don't even ever see you. You're in your office and stuff and running around and answering phone calls. We never get to really interact. This is probably the longest amount of time we've interact one-on-one basis.
Fact.
So She's higher by. So I'm learning all these things about you, Jesse. It's such a short amount of time. I'm not a Facebook creeper. Like, even if we're friends on Facebook, I never look at anybody's profile. I might look to see, like, if I get a friend request, who is this?
Right.
Okay, we have met. I do know this person. I will add you. But Facebook's private for a reason. Every single person that is a friend on Facebook, I've met in person. Or at least for sure, I know.
Right.
Okay. Oh my God, we got 10 minutes. Okay, you ready for the last segment? Is there any final thoughts, though, before we go into that? I hope you find my memes funny, Jesse. I'm kind of feeling really sensitive and very vulnerable. I just shared a lot of vulnerable shit. I don't even want to listen to the show later. I'm like, I can't believe I said that. But is there any... I love that she said, I guess a final thing just to wrap up the whole... for now, definitely going to have to have a conversation about this again later, but she said, recovery is not linear. Love that!
Right.
Don't you love that?
Yes.
It can't be linear. I mean, that just shuts down so many things. And this sounds bad, but I won't use certain terms that I know are familiar in certain rooms, but I have many ladies that I guide, okay, and I don't give advice, I just guide and suggestions. One of the things, the only rule that I have to work with them is I say, don't hesitate. And I always look confused when I say that to them. I'm like, that's my only rule as a person that's guiding you. I'm not going to label in myself. And they're like, what do you mean by that? And what I mean by that is don't hesitate. I don't care if you think it's the smallest, stupidest thing. If it's taking up space in your head, I want you to reach out. I want you to talk to me about it. Send me a text. Let's meet in person. Like, let's talk about it in person. I don't care if you need help for moving some shit. What I just have... Okay, well, what it comes down to is I say it without saying it directly, but if you're thinking about using, or if you're using, I don't give a fuck. Call me and talk to me about it. Don't hesitate. There's no judgments. I did all those things multiple times for 17 years. And a big part, I did the shuffle with a few of my guides. And I finally have my final guide sponsor, whatever, Marcy, I'll throw it out, shout out again. She's my final and favorite, forever sponsor. But I had 3 before, and I wouldn't reach out because I didn't want to burden them. I didn't want to bother them. I didn't want to tell them about this terrible day I had because they got enough on their plate. No! I shut that down. I'm like, don't hesitate. Reach out for whatever reason. And even if you're in the midst of something, hit me up. And
Right.
I feel so, like, honored when they do. It sounds silly. And but that's the thing, is it would take me to finally, like, start revealing things that I wouldn't normally do. I keep all that shit bottled up and buried. And it was not healthy. I was a very sick person. Okay, you ready for the final segment?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay, so I'm going to flash you. Oh man, I get nervous because I pick them in certain moments and I'm like, oh, that'll be a good one. And then they could be a week old and I'm like, oh man, I don't know if I really wanted to go there, but we're going to go there. So if there's a picture or a graph, whatever, a picture, I want you to describe it before you read it, okay? And some of them might just be words. So they're either I thought they were hilarious or I thought they were meaningful for whatever reason. Okay, so we're just going to start. I'm just going to go in the order that they are in. Okay, so this one's just words. Go ahead and read that one.
Netflix. Are you still watching? Me. No. Netflix. Do you want it on in the background anyway to fill the deafening silence of your loneliness? Me. Yes. That's pretty funny.
Do you do that at all?
I definitely do.
I feel like I'm turning red here. Because, yeah, there are moments and all my kiddos are out of the house. I'm by myself. And at first I'm like, this is great. Get the house to myself. And it's fucking quiet. And I'm like, ooh, this is sad and I'm lonely. So
Right.
I will turn on Netflix or Hulu or Hulu.
So
or
on that
whatever.
note, the series I was watching on Netflix
Yeah.
recently was subtitled Spanish. So like normally
really?
I would have it on the background like you said, and like I can still kind of follow the show. But then all of a sudden I was like,
You're in Spanish?
I don't speak Spanish, so I'm like I gotta. So yeah, I couldn't do it with that. So
Oh my goodness, yep. Well, and to take it to that next level, it's like, oh, in the movie, there's people talking, so I feel like there's people with me,
Right.
I don't know if I'm actually watching it or paying attention, but it's nice, it's reassuring to not be in the loneliness of I'm in this empty, big-ass house by myself. Which I'm fine with, I accept, but, anyways, we'll just go on to the next one. Kermit. Any
Kermit's my
Kermit
favorite.
memes, just jump at me, and then I
Yes.
take the time to read them. So go ahead and read. You can just read this one.
okay, it looks like Kermit's looking at Kermit with like he's definitely
Villain.
no, I would say like a dark
character.
Sith.
Dark side. Yeah, dark
Yeah.
Sith.
Yep.
Yeah.
So me, wow, this is really healthy relationship, and I really like this person. My mind, ruin it. Me, but my mind said, I said ruin it.
So his evil character, Sith character's like, ruin that shit. I remember before being in relationships. Actually, every single little relationship I've ever been in, I'm like, this is going so great. Something bad's going to happen.
Right.
And many times, it was because of me ruining it, overthinking about it. Mostly it was me just being like, it's me. Like, what's going on? Whatever. I don't know. I don't want to talk about it too much in depth. So it got ruined. And later on now I see, well, it wasn't just me ruining it. But I always thought, I'm too happy now. Something's going to mess something up. Something's going to happen. I'm not allowed to be this happy.
Right. When's the shoe going to fall?
Right. Can't have my cake and eat it too. Okay, this one, I'm going to describe the picture before you read it, because if you don't describe the pictures, I don't think it's going to be as funny, but I thought it was hilarious. It's a chubby looking koala bear, just like lounging on this branch, just looking like a curvy, funny looking koala. Okay, read it. Hanging out on a branch.
When everybody wants a taste of your energy, but they aren't qualified to handle this high quality deliciousness. It looks like a model.
Qualified.
Yeah.
It's spelled though funny.
Yeah.
It's spelled like a koala. Qualified. And then this high quality is spelled with the koala word.
Yeah. And it's
It's this chubby koala.
that looks like it's like showing a bathing suit, like
Yeah.
a two-piece.
Yeah. Everyone wants to taste of your energy, but they are qualified.
So
to
that
handle
one's
this
not
high
funny unless you see the picture.
quality deliciousness. Delicious. It's a funny fat koala. Okay, never mind. We're going to a more let's get off the funny. Let's do the more. Oh, here's a good aha one.
I don't walk away to teach people a lesson. I walk away because I finally learned mine.
Oh, you're supposed to be giving me reactions. I forgot. I shared this with you before we were live. So Facebook Live memes are supposed to be thumbs up, hearts, LOL, and if you want to comment.
No, that's thumbs up.
Give
I
a
was trying
thumbs
to
up?
think of like the smiley face, the emoji with just like straight face, maybe.
Oh, okay.
Because
Yeah.
it's like true. And sometimes, like putting that in perspective when you're talking, like you don't realize like boundaries are okay.
Boundaries is my favorite
Yeah.
word.
And like I'm the type of person that I don't learn stuff easy. Like you got to hit me with the 2x4, a hammer, a
hard
bat,
way.
and like still I might like try to burn my hand again. And it's just like I don't understand. I feel like I don't know. But yeah.
Yeah. Well, yes, and there are people now. It used to be people would walk away from me, and now on the other side of things, I walked away from other people because I just knew it was toxic, and I just expressed for my mental health and my recovery, I need to break that. I need to take space from you. I can't have you in my life right now. And it's a respect thing. And like those people that have respected those spaces, who knows? I didn't say forever. I didn't say you can't be in my life forever. But for now, you just gotta go away.
Isn't it weird too that you don't have to hate somebody to do that?
Right. Oh my gosh. Before you block them, like never be friends again. Now I'm gonna say we need space.
Like the first time I felt that, or like separate, like you said, walked away, like in a healthy way.
Yeah.
I was like, I just wanted to yell and throw shit,
Yeah,
break it,
throw a tantrum.
just be angry. But I was like, wait, I don't have to feel like that to
Right.
like, and we can still talk.
You can
and
still
we
be
still
adults.
do.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah. Isn't that crazy? And it's so much better. And like, it sucks because the one relationship, I made a point to be like, we need to take a break on this. Like, we need to take a pause on this. But it's because we both need to heal separately. And at the end of the day, I still love and care about you. And I hope that after whatever amount of time, I could say something, I'm not going to say nothing. Maybe we'll come back together and still have that whatever. But right now, I know I need a year or two, like just to take that time away is so bad. you know. And I have been using that time to heal and process. Even I got a relationship really quickly, like within a week moved in. So I see that decision should have came earlier, but that was what he needed. But for me, it was great at least to not burn any bridges and to leave that door open. And to those people that I have set those boundaries with, one of them was my sister, you know. And I fucking love her to death and it kills me. But through my therapist and through my recovery community, it has to be where it is today. Because if I give 1 inch, it will go a mile into the ditch real quick for me. So, anyway, let's move on. Okay, this is a good one.
If at first you don't succeed, find some people kicking ass in recovery and hang with them.
That's what's up.
That's a fact. Like,
yeah.
so when in doubt, reach out.
Yeah,
we're here, and we understand.
We can have fun.
Man, have fun, and that's when you're talking about going out to like camp outs and stuff like that. Like when I went to Peg and went down the Apple River, and like sober, never, never in a million years would I have ever thought I was going to be going down Apple River not drunk. And I did, and I had fun, and I was with like my niece and nephew and some other kids, and like we all did it, and it was like, gave me hope. And like I only know post-pandemic recovery, so like. Stuff's starting to get out there and I'm getting to do things. I'm like, this is where it's at.
Right.
Like I'm doing world, like, you know, I'm just trying to travel, like anything, like next summer I'm going to be engaged because this is fun. It's like, why not?
Really enjoy the moments and remember them the next day.
Right.
Every single part of them.
And not go to jail again.
And not go to jail. Oh man, I know there was one cool thing it was a meme that was shared that's something like, you party hard and it's like, I don't know, I remember it was like...
Lose your car keys.
I party hard, my ass goes away for a long time, so we're not the same.
Yeah. I wake up in handcuffs.
Yeah, I wake up in handcuffs. Okay. Here's a good one.
I'm kind of like the total package that got fucked up through shipping and handling.
That's where I see myself.
And opened and returned.
Yep. This damaged thing, and taking that. You know, I don't want that going to the wrong person anyway.
Yeah, that's good.
Okay, this one, I think, I don't remember, but I remember it might rub people the wrong way. Just go with it.
Operator, what's your emergency? Woman, I'm having some troubles in my life. Operator, have you tried posting an inspirational quote with the caption, this, and then making absolutely no fucking changes in your life whatsoever?
Did you see that out of the Facebook world at all?
Would I?
Would you say that you see that? You know,
yeah, for sure.
Like 50 of them a day.
Yes, or like...
And I know they never leave their fucking house.
Yeah, food shots and...
Yeah. And it's like... Yes, I do that. I'll like post, you know, inspirational stuff for whatever reason, but I don't sit in my house and do that all the day. You know, even on the weekends, I'm out there actually doing shit, you know, like action based. For me, I need that, you know.
For sure.
But I don't post the inspirations. I'm trying to be the inspirations or go be in the presence of people I find inspiring. Like that, for me, is living in the action, you know, being about it. Oh, I love Eddie. Oh, by the way, I love Eddie Muse and SpongeBob as well.
Either you're going to be my last love or my first murder. I'm done getting my heart broken.
And it's SpongeBob with a little card that says,
try me, ho.
Try me, ho.
That's funny.
Go get murdered. That's why I'm in no rush. I'm just dating myself. I'm just dating myself, getting to know myself, damaged package or whatever. And I feel like I'm not looking right now, you know. I feel like after a year, whatever amount of time, I don't know, whatever. There's no real limit, but I'm not in a hurry because I'd rather just really be in love with myself before I'm trying to love anybody else, you know. I do feel like I do love myself, but my cup gets empty real fast on a daily basis, you know. And so when I'm ready and I feel like I'm good on that, sure, there'll be somebody waiting. Maybe not. I don't know. I might be 50, but I'll just get a bunch of cats and they love me. I'll go there.
Crazy cat lady?
Yeah. Okay, I think that was it. This one, okay, so you have to describe the picture, sir. There's obviously this dude. He's a cute dude, I think. And there's 4 different shots, and it's him taking selfies. I fucking hate selfies, Jesse. I hate them. I never look right, ever.
Yep.
And he's taking selfies, right? And then describe this meme if you can. There's no words except click.
So,
Dude's taking a selfie.
like, hey, what up?
Click, click.
He looks at his picture.
smiling.
And it's Gollum.
Gollum from Lord of the
And his
Rings.
eyes bulge.
He's like, I'm hideous!
That's true.
Why don't you even try to take
Never the
selfies?
right angle.
It's never gonna show up right.
Yeah.
Ever.
At least he's got his tongue in his mouth, and he's not doing duck lips.
Oh my gosh. Don't get me started. This is so many. I have to like, you can ignore people or pause on people's posts for a while. I'll have to do that when I literally see the same selfie every
Right.
single
So I will tell you,
day. The
I've
same
only had to
picture of
pause
food.
one person, right? And I'm just going to say what his post, it's going to be funny. It was
Yeah.
called Pizza Tits.
Pizza tits? What's that?
He was
Oh,
rubbing
God.
pizza
Don't
on,
explain it. I don't even want to know. I got this awful visual.
and he was drinking like beer out of a bag.
Yeah.
And we met in treatment.
Okay.
And I'm like, blocked for 30 days.
That was good.
It was disturbing.
I concur with that. That's disturbing just even hearing about it, and my brain was just bad visual.
It was like on Ridiculousness when they like say like, a
love that
catchphrase, and they're like, she tries to guess what it is.
Yeah.
That's what you could do with that phrase, like
Oh my
pizza
God.
tits. Like,
Yeah.
what's the
Just
first
leave
thing?
it at that. Okay. Okay, well, just, let's see, where are we at on time? Cool, it's only 9:05. We did great. Okay, so let's see. Oh, there's one last comment. It says, the body remembers before the brain as part of the central nervous system, protection or warning systems. Yeah. That was so great. A lot of these things that I've been able to find out, especially recently within the last year, have been huge. And because I didn't know these things about myself. So I at one point was diagnosed with, I had co-occurring disorders, aside from the use, I had a lot of mental wellness things going on. And they were just labeling me with all kinds of diagnoses. And none of the things that I'm actually diagnosed with today, which is great. But I remember trying all these different medicines, and I'd tell the doctors, like, or psychiatrists, like, these aren't working. I know you say it's supposed to take 2 to 4, but bullshit! I tell you it's not working, and they didn't believe me. Like this, I think that frustrating piece of, and even my friends and family, by the way, those people aren't in my life anymore, didn't believe me. They just thought I was making it up. I'm trying to get things. I'm trying to manipulate. And it was bullshit. And I loved the therapist that I had, Katie, that made the most sense to me. She was like, Bridge, do you even know what the definition of manipulate is? I'm like, no. She's like, it means to change. Manipulate doesn't mean it's not a good thing, or it doesn't have to be a bad thing, okay? So just those things, those little gems she would throw at me, it was amazing. But I just remember, finally I found a psychiatrist, just like, hey, well, let's just do a test. You don't have to name me. Let's do one of those cheek swab DNA tests. We're going to see what your body makeup is with medicines. Guess what? That test came back, Jesse. One of the medicines on there, she said, I should never take because it will have no effect on me, or the opposite effect. So, there was a list of at least 10 things. She's like, okay, you were never taking these again.
Go figure.
Wow, really? Mind blow.
I know.
It was huge, and I felt so fucking validated, And it's like, but it was so much of a struggle because I was a person in recovery, because I was a user or an addict or all those things. Psychiatrists would just want to label me that, and that's it. They didn't give a fuck. Sorry, I don't mean to cuss. I just get angry about things. They didn't want to respect me and see me as what I was saying. They already labeled me. They already judged me, and in their mind, no, you don't need this. I'm not hearing you. I'm the doctor. I read these books. I have these degrees. I know what's best for you. And that part was so frustrating. And finding this therapist, Katie, that changed my life. So she's like, Brad, you ever been tested for ADHD? I'm like, no. That's silly. I don't have ADHD. That's silliness. She's like, just go get tested. I'm like, okay, and now I can reflect back. And I was always the overachiever. Before I even had 5 kids, I've always had 2 or 3 jobs. I've just always been a go person. But girls, a lot of times, will go undiagnosed because we're not those physical, it's not easy to spot right away. But mentally, there's mental components. Now they're aware of it more. Of ADHD. So I'll have all those things, but I can contain them more. But anyway, so I take those tests. This is number 1, and there was a competency test, and there was even one where she was, I guess, pointed out how I was holding my pencil. She later I found out, read the report, and I called back in the session after these tests, and she was like, "So how'd that go?" I'm like, "That was nonsense. What a waste of time." Okay, they're not going to tell me I have ADHD. I come back in, they're like, "So you have ADHD?" I'm like, "So you mean a mild case of ADHD?" She's like, why don't we go with moderate? Let's say moderate. You're at least I'm at least going to tell you it's moderate. Okay? And there's things we could do. Because I used to use drugs and alcohol. I see that now clear as day.
Yeah.
To try to contain these things or deal with these things or medicate myself or numb myself, and I didn't have any fucking clue.
Yes.
Mind blowing.
I can relate to that because, like, when I walked in today, you're like, what did you do this weekend? I said nothing. I never don't. Well, I mean, really, I didn't just do nothing. I went to church still and did my meeting. But, like, other than that, I did nothing. But, like, I can't not do nothing. Like, it's all right to do nothing.
It is okay.
It's like, and I'll work right off the deep end. Or, like, just, you got to analyze yourself and, like, read and, like, decompress and, like, process your stuff. And, like, I didn't do that because I'm the same way. Like, I got 100 different things going. So, they actually wanted to test me, but I just haven't been able to get in there. But I was like, I don't really need to. I already know. And like people that talk to me, they're like, we know you have it. I'm like, and actually, I had a.
It is a good thing.
Yeah,
I felt like it was a good thing once I was officially labeled.
Yes,
so
and
like,
my dad has
here's
it too.
why.
So, and he's like, you think just like me? I'm like, that's because we have ADHD. And he's like, what? No, I'm sane. And I'm like, but yeah, it's like the method of my madness, and it's all right now. I got prescribed a few non-narcotics for ADHD or whatever, and they didn't do anything, and or one kept me awake all day, and I couldn't sleep at night, and then I was tired all day. So I don't know, I'm just like, accept me, there's certain jobs I can do, there's certain jobs I can't do. So it's like I got into the trades, and like I work like a tornado, but like I get it done efficiently. So, and I think this desk job is just enough where I like can interact, and, like, change it up, and like go see people, and it helps. But I don't know, I never thought of a desk job, but fortunately at my age my body's like, I don't know if I want to sit tile the rest of my life.
Right, at the gym.
Right.
And what's nice too is like knowing that then I learned tools that I use to help in a healthy way.
Right.
And I don't even have to take my meds if I don't want to. Like, I talked to my psychiatrist and my doctor, and they're like, yeah, you don't have to take these. Like, if you're okay with the craziness and everyone around you is okay, it's when it affects you. So when I was trying to do the college thing for a minute there, that was, like, really hard to do because it was all virtual.
Yeah, I can't do
cloud.
it.
Like, I could...
Yeah.
Whoa, it was a struggle. Plus, I was working. Plus, I take care of 5 kids that were home because of the whole shutdown and everything. That was chaos. And then I'm like, okay, fine, I'll take a bath. Like, then I go monotone. Right. But otherwise, a lot of people like my full energy, and I get a lot of shit done. And as long as they make it useful and productive, I don't mind my ADHD. People don't mind my ADHD. It's a good thing,
An asset.
Asset, yes! Not a liability no more. No more legal things to be addressed. Cops call me. I'm like, oh, there's the cops. Hi, God. Right. My license is good. My insurance is good. I got pulled over the other day. I'm like, what? I was thinking that in my head, like, well, I said it nice. I'm like, the cop asked me, like, do you know why I pulled you over? I'm like, actually, I do not know why. Was I speeding? I don't think I was speeding. Was I speeding? But it was awakening in the sense of, I know I got nothing to be worried about. Where before I was like, oh shit, here we go. What do I gotta hide? What do I gotta lie about? And he's like, well, your headlight's on. I'm like, it is? Oh, dang it, like that was it, but before, years before, could have been way worse scenario.
For sure.
So, but yeah, we're at today. So let's close. Let's wrap it up. I guess any last favorite quotes or anything?
No.
Okay. Well, then I'm going to take the floor.
Okay.
I went to this great workshop. I'll throw out the names. Jason, Jennifer, and Mike joined me. It was wonderful. I went through this thing, and I didn't reveal that I didn't think I was going to be so vulnerable, but I went out on a smoke break, and I was having a one-on-one conversation. He's like, you know what? This is a great opportunity. Just be vulnerable with that shit. You're in a room with people that you trust, and you feel safe with, so I did. And I revealed some crazy stuff. It was such a reprieve. I talked about my mom and a lot of things that went on, my adopted mom that went on that I never shared ever in the rooms. And it was great to share. But one thing that I took away from today was, meditation was a struggle for me, especially a person with ADHD. I still struggle with it. My therapist, she'd do 20 minutes a day. In quiet meditation, that's insane to me still to this day. And I can do 2 minutes, I do solid 2 minutes. I can do more than 2 minutes. It's like a guided meditation. I'm very picky on those. But here's what I love. In the beginning of my jam, going to meetings, I always felt this that I'm about to read. So I found this in words of why meetings, for me, felt like such a weight lifted. So it says, meditation. Believe it or not, you have already been meditating every time you stood as a community in a meeting and observed a moment of silence. Every time you were out of your own head and listening intently to the story of another person, you were meditating. This is one of the reasons meetings are the medicine for alcoholics and addicts and anyone with mental wellness. That reprieve that we feel from the obsessive mind and the refocusing which brings us to the present moment is a major part of meditation. It is a simple fact that prayer, meditation, and conscious contact calms us down and grounds us, usually helping to alleviate the fears that seem to overwhelm and threaten our recovery. That's why one of the reasons that we say it works if you work it. You know, there's all kinds of meetings, the support groups. It doesn't matter what path you're on. It doesn't have to be one certain group that believes one certain. I go to so many meetings, so they wouldn't even know.
Yeah.
Will Work, and Smart, and I mean, I could throw all kinds of things out there.
Mm-hmm.
But for me, it is a way to meditate because when I'm in those rooms, I really listen. And we talked about today, there's a big difference between listening and hearing what a person is saying. And for me, I know for anyone to hear me, they gotta be up here. They gotta be in the shit. They have got to have been in some form of recovery, whatever. Because normally, I don't even waste my time. I don't even waste my time with people that don't get it in recovery. So, okay, well, thank you for coming on, Jesse.
I got one thing.
Absolutely, yes.
Stay grateful.
Stay grateful, 100%. And that's a big thing, I think, just finding, even if I've had a rough freaking day, and even in the beginning of my recovery, just finding one thing that I was grateful for, and one thing today that I'm grateful. What are you grateful for, Jesse?
Today,
I'm going to put you on the spot. Yeah.
I'm grateful for the snow.
You're grateful for the snow?
I'm grateful that I got to see my niece and nephew randomly yesterday, and we went and checked out the waterfall in the city over on Stone Arch. And I was like, "Have you ever seen a waterfall?" To my niece, she's like, "No."
Oh,
I was like, "What is this?" They said it was a lake. I'm like, "Actually, it's a river."
Oh, cute.
And I was like, "Do you want to go up in the building?" She's like, "Yes."
Oh.
So we went and checked out the IDS a little bit, walked around there.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
oh, Jesse.
it's so crazy because, like, you know, you don't really see, like, you forget that kids don't have these experiences.
Right.
And, like, I'm all about, like, every time I'm with them, we do something.
Yeah.
And I want to, like, be there to show them experience, like, a bunch of new stuff. So, family is a big part of my life.
Absolutely.
I got my new apartment unpacked.
Oh, yeah, I saw your pictures.
Right, my
That
TV
place
showed
is
up.
huge.
I got LinkedIn. You know,
Oh,
I don't know.
nice.
I got my plants up, my lights up. I mean, I could go on, and those are the big things. Like, I mean, the gel pen in my purse is something I'm
Your
grateful
man
for.
purse?
Yeah,
You got a gel pen?
Yeah, it's
Ooh, is it a really nice one?
it's a Sharpie
Yeah.
gel pen
Nice.
that never met. It's not gel pen. It's a Sharpie, but I don't know. It's
like
awesome.
a fine point.
It's not that fine. 0.7. Do you know
Okay.
about pen sizes?
I do, unfortunately.
Okay.
I don't know. Don't reveal my dirtiness on the air. Of course I know. Of course I know. It's like to have a great pen.
Right.
That's perfectly.
You know
on
what's
time.
funny is, like, a year and a half ago when I was in Inpatient, and I was like, I can't spend $4 on a pen. And I was like, wait a second. I was doing like $15 spins at the
gosh.
casino.
Right.
Like, I can
Right.
buy a pack of $4 pens.
Yeah, absolutely. That's way better.
Way better.
Yes. And yes, just gratitude. You know, and where it's today, every night I say that I'm grateful for my children and they're in this home with me. Because when they weren't, that was, you know, I don't forget that ever. So every day I'm like, I'm so grateful my children are home safe with me. My daughter was gone for the weekend. So that was a little hard for me, a little anxiety. She's my only daughter. Stay, and like the mom was great and sent pictures and kept the cat. I'm a little bit of a mother hen, like I'm a little bit overprotective, but that's because I've seen the darkness of people's. So I don't care. But anyway, yeah, just so I'd be like, I'm thankful, I'm grateful that my boys are here with me. And then I'd say, please, Father Sky, we just give extra guidance and protection for my daughter who is not in the home with me, you know, like, just for peace of mind. But I let it go. You know?
Right.
So, yeah, gratitude, I love that. So I'm grateful for you, Jesse, and being
Yeah, it
here
was good.
tonight. I'm grateful for all the listeners, and I'm grateful for this Sunday. And I'm ready for Monday. This has been a long weekend for me, Jesse. I'm ready to start Monday off right. So, all right, good night, everybody. Have a great week. And we'll end the broadcast.